In recent years, comic book variant covers have drawn the ire of the consumer. While in the late 90s to early 2000s, variants were overproduced and watered down the collector's market. Now they're being criticized for offensive artwork. Welcome to Comic Book Controversy. Today we'll be discussing the recent uproar over sexualized, offensive, and violent variant covers. Comics have a history of using hypersexualized men and women on the covers to gain attraction to the title. Oftentimes the cover art wouldn't even resemble what was inside. Slowly the market trend moved away from this and tried to embrace a cover that gave you an idea of what the story inside would be. Variants of these issues would be made though. Companies would call upon popular artists to create a second, third, and even fourth variation. It's these covers that have drawn such negative attention. One such cover is IDW's The Powerpuff Girls number 6, drawn by Mimi Yoon. While sexualized characters aren't a new thing, the Powerpuff Girls, who last time I checked were in kindergarten, have no need to be drawn like this. The comic series itself is intended for a younger market, so all of it just feels out of place. This is one of the few times I agree with the publisher not releasing the cover. Another cover that drew in similar controversy is Batgirl number 41. Raphael Albuquerque was asked to draw a cover celebrating the 75th anniversary of the Joker. The most iconic relationship between Batgirl and the Joker can be traced to the Killing Joke, where the Joker shoots her in the spine, leaving Barbara paralyzed from the waist down. Albuquerque tried to capture an image showing Batgirl dealing with the fear of being in the hold of the Joker. The cover truly captures the psychological grasp this maniacal madman can hold over you. Well, that was some people's opinion at least. Thousands took to Twitter using hashtag #ChangeTheCover, crying misogyny, assault, etc., etc. People cringed at how this completely disempowered Batgirl and reduced her to a damsel in distress. Seeing a character in distress and terror is nothing new on a comic book cover. If anything, it makes them more relatable and humanizes them. Seeing fear, happiness, longing, and every other emotion makes you see that they're more than a god in a cape. Let's look at these Batman covers. We can see Batman in a variety of situations that make him appear defeated, broken, and in the case of Batman number 497, completely disempowered as Bane breaks his back. There was no outrage here. Why? Are men perceived as stronger than women even in the face of peril and adversity? Should female superheroes never face such calamity? Where would the character growth be if no one had to overcome an obstacle? Ultimately, DC pulled the cover at the request of Albuquerque. This did spark a movement though. Various recreations of this piece can be found all over the internet. DC also had an issue with artist Frank Cho. Well, not so much DC, but Wonder Woman writer Greg Rucka. Frank Cho was asked to do variant covers for each new issue of the recently relaunched Wonder Woman title, Wonder Woman Rebirth. Anyone familiar with Cho's work knows that he draws well-built and beautiful women, which is why Wonder Woman would be the perfect fit. However, Cho left after doing a handful of covers and stated his reasons in an interview with BleedingCool.com. All the problem lies with Greg Rucka. Everyone loves my Wonder Woman covers and wants me to stay. Rucka is the only one who has any problems with the covers. Rucka has been trying to alter and censor my artwork since day one. Rucka thought my Wonder Woman number 3 cover was vulgar and showed too much skin, and has been spearheading censorship, which is baffling since my Wonder Woman image is on model and shows the same amount of skin as the interior art, and it's a variant cover and he should have no editorial control over it. I try to play nice, not rock the boat, and do my best on the covers, but Greg's weird political agenda against me and my art has made the job impossible. Wonder Woman was the only reason I came over to DC Comics. To DC's credit, especially art director Mark Chiarello, they have been very accommodating, but they are caught between a rock and a hard place. I just wanted to be left alone and do my Wonder Woman variant covers in peace, but Rucka is in a hostile power trip and causing unnecessary friction over variant covers. Looking at these covers, it truly makes you wonder what Rucka saw as so offensive. Until you get to the third one. Here's the finished cover. Typical Wonder Woman pose of blocking bullets with her bracelets. Now here's the original sketch. Everything seems to be in place, but at the same time, just a bit skewed. What could it be? Oh, I see it. The cover was cropped to remove the incredibly small amount of panties seen because of her dress moving. That's right, Wonder Woman, who has worn a singlet for years, now needs her thighs and hind end covered at all opportunities. DC and IDW aren't the only publishers infuriating the internet and Twitterverse though. Oh no, even Marvel has been stepping on toes. Marvel asked longtime contributor Milo Manara to do a variant for their relaunch of Spider-Woman. Manara drew an image that immediately sparked harsh backlash and outrage, crying how Spider-Woman was being blatantly sexualized. Manara specializes in a form of pin-up style art. Most of his illustrations feature beautiful women in suggestive and erotic poses. None of these, though, have caught the attention of so many and caused such a ruckus. The funny thing about it is that it's the pose and skin-tight costume that so many people are opposed to. Back in 2014, Marvel Senior Vice President of Publishing, Tom Brevoort, responded on his Tumblr account with a defense of the cover. Given that the character is covered head to toe and is crouched in a spider-like pose, it seems far less exploitive to me than other Manara pieces we've run in previous months and years. The part about being covered head to toe in spider-like pose is very important here. If this truly is an over-the-top sexualized character, well, let's just take a look at Amazing Spider-Man number 30. Here we see Spider-Man covered head to toe and in a spider-like pose. Notice how incredibly similar these covers are? This cover was done by J. Scott Campbell, a man you'll see more of in this video. He also has a habit of drawing skin-tight costumes of muscle-bound men. The problem is, we see the exact same thing, but no outrage. Why is a perceived hypersexualized pose of Spider-Woman not seen the same way as the Spider-Man cover? Can men not be sexualized? They sure can. If the concern is that women may see Spider-Woman and it sets an unrealistic goal in appearance, then yes, I agree. Comics are fantasy. Fake. Not real. Any chance of realizing the physical form of almost any superhero is nonsense at best. If it's just to be offended, oh well. I'm sorry, that's too bad. To Marvel's credit, they still ran the cover, but ended up placing the Spider-Woman title over the offending derriere. And this brings us to the latest of variant cover craziness. Marvel has had J. Scott Campbell, superstar artists and creators of comics like Gen 13 and Danger Girl, create several variants for them. This time, Marvel signed him on to do a variant for the relaunch of Invincible Iron Man, featuring Riri Williams, a 15-year-old girl who will be taking on the mantle of Iron Man, but known as Ironheart. I haven't followed the story closely, but there have already been outrage over the loss of Tony Stark. But no, this time people are losing their minds because J. Scott Campbell, a man who draws pretty ladies, drew Riri too pretty. That's right, another case of, that girl is too young to look that sexualized and I'm mad and don't like it has erupted. To be honest, much like Cho, Campbell scaled back the sexy about 300% on this one, as this is possibly the tamest drawing I've ever seen him make. Even that Spider-Man butt is more risque than this. Due to the backlash the company is getting though, Marvel and Midtown Comics have decided to pull the cover. There is another variant with Riri wearing the armor in the same pose. This cover will still be for sale. So if the pose isn't the problem, what is? Is it the clothing? I mean, it couldn't be the clothing, right? Let's take a look at another Invincible Iron Man art and compare it to Campbell's controversial cover. Well, what do you know? It's the same outfit. Campbell based his own drawing off a similar piece. Both have Riri in the red midriff top and tight black pants. Both have them holding the Iron Man helmet. Why are people so mad then? Is it because Campbell made her too pretty? He did nothing that we haven't already seen. Comic books have begun to reach more and more people since the release of the Nolan Batman trilogy and Marvel Cinematic Universe, and I think publishers have had a hard time adapting to the new consumer base. What was once the straight white male 18 to 34 demographic has now exploded to be far more inclusive. Unfortunately, I feel that publishers are listening to a vocal minority and letting them control how they conduct business. The outrage over these covers is ludicrous. I'd like to start seeing publishers standing behind the artists they hire and make sure their work still gets out there and not bend over backwards for every whiner on the internet. Which I guess technically I'm doing right now, but I'm different because I'm in defense of the artist. But what do you think? Are people being too sensitive? Are the artists going too far? Let me know down in the comments, and I'll see you all next time there's another comic book controversy.